Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here at 412-575-2600. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, where you call us at 412-575-2600. Make sure you do that. Get your calls in right now as we are on the eve of the NFL Draft. Chris Mueller is up at 93.7 The Fan. PM team was busy today, I'm sure, and tonight we learned the night before this and some reports that came out today indicating that perhaps the Steelers are taking calls on George Pickens. Apparently, he's gone out and just wiped clean his social media sites of any references to the Steelers. Now, this is not the first time he's done this, Chris, so I don't know what to read into it, if anything at all. But yesterday, it sounded like the Steelers were very interested in having him here to complement DK Metcalf. This could be a whole different situation tomorrow.
They were probably very interested in it, at least publicly, but behind the scenes, I think that it's true that at the bare minimum, they're picking up the phone when teams call. Jordan Schultz at Fox Sports suggested that they are picking up the phone to call other teams. I think Omar Khan, from an asset management standpoint, probably thinks that there's some real value if he can get the right number pick. Probably a mid to late second rounder would be ideal. Maybe an early third is more realistic. To move on from a guy that I don't think they have any intentions of paying in the long term. This is how the game is played, though. Bob, you've been around the block. You know how it works. One day they're putting up videos on the official team Twitter account showing you working out. The next day they're trading you to somebody and kind of hitting you on the rear end and saying, get out the door, here's your new team. And I think that's always been a possibility with George Pickens. And he can wipe his social media all he wants, but the fact of the matter is, if he had been a highly productive and less distracting wide receiver, let's say, he would have stood a better chance of getting a second contract with the Steelers, but I think they rightly, even Mike Tomlin, his chief defender, understand now that the player is just a little too unpredictable, a little too volatile, and ultimately doesn't produce at a high enough level where they aren't going to be seriously inquiring about moving him.
Yes, it will be interesting, and that could change the complexion of what we see. The other thing that can change the complexion is the ongoing situation with Aaron Rodgers. So let's just focus on tomorrow. It's one round only. The Steelers have one pick. There are multiple things that can happen. It's unlikely they trade up. It's very possible they could trade down. They did so in 2001, and they got Casey Hampton as a result of that and picked up some additional picks. Or they can just have the pick. Now, I've seen a lot of things that indicate that Shedeur Sanders is the guy a lot of people think, but I've also seen a lot of things that indicate there are a lot of people aren't thrilled with what he's been able to do, especially during some of these pre-draft meetings. Merrill Hodge, in fact, really critically went after him today, saying that this would be a big mistake for the Steelers to take him. Where do you sit on this? Because myself personally, I've said it for a while, I don't want to see him take a quarterback in this first round. I think they have plenty of time to do it later in the draft and next year as well.
No, I don't want to see him take a quarterback in the first round. I think Sanders is the second best quarterback in this draft, but if they're going to take one, I'd rather them take a flyer on a guy like Milroe if he slides into the third round. If you're going to do something, take a home run swing kind of thing. Sanders, my entire complaint about him, or gripe, or whatever you want to call it, my hang-up with them drafting him is I just don't think physically the tools are there. I don't think he's good enough. We had on the guy, do you remember Dion Band, a reporter whose work he didn't like or comments he didn't like? We had that reporter on today, Sean Keeler, from out there in Denver or Boulder. And I asked him just what is the player like? Separate the, Shedeur from the rest of the Sanders family, from his dad. He said, honestly, there's not a single guy in that locker room that didn't like him. He was a well-liked player. Yes, he would say things occasionally about teammates, but he might have been right. And so I think that he is a tough kid. I think he's a smart kid. I think he knows what he's looking at when he looks at a defense. I don't think the physical skills are good enough, Bob. And I will even plant my flag and say this. I think they're going to trade back a couple of spots. I have a feeling Cleveland, this is my other bold prediction, Steelers are going to trade back and take a defensive lineman, which I think largely is going to make people happy because it's them trading back and them addressing the position I think the most people want to see addressed. I think Cleveland takes Hunter at 2, even though we hear that they're fielding calls about that pick. And then they pair Travis Hunter with the guy that he just was catching passes from for several years. And they trade back into the first round to get Shedeur Sanders.
Possibility. There certainly is a possibility because their quarterback situation still is very much unsolved. 412-575-2600 is the number. You see our KDKA.com/connect poll. It says, who will the Steelers draft tomorrow? Sanders, Kenneth Grant, who's my pick, or Walter Nolan, or anyone else? You know, all you have to do is make your pick and let us know what you think. And so far, it's Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people have believed what is being talked about. We'll see how this goes. It'll be fascinating tomorrow night. If they trade back, and if they don't have a first-round pick, you'll get nothing tomorrow night, and then we'll see what happens the next day. But I got to believe if they do trade, they would swap number ones with somebody and get some additional picks. We got to take a break here, Chris. We'll come back with more at 412-575-2600. There you see Acrisure Stadium, which this weekend is going to be the site of a big-time motocross event. And tomorrow it's the draft. We want to hear from you right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, this is our tweet of the night, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. In Steelers history, back on 2005, they drafted Heath Miller, 30th overall pick. What a good pick that was. He had an outstanding career. Just a couple other quick notes for you. The Pirates are leading Anaheim again 2-0. Andrew Heaney struck out the first 6 he faced tonight. And also, we have the Washington Capitals now up 2-0 over Montreal as they won tonight 3-1. A tough team to play against. Chris, we got a lot of calls. Let's get right to them and get what people have to say at 412-575-2600, beginning with John in Moon Township. Hello, John. How are you?
Hey, gentlemen. Great show. I truly appreciate that. I'm just
Thanks.
calling to be specifically I'd like to know what Bob Dunning thinks right now. His team is next to last in the National League. And is he embarrassed by this? We are tired of this. Is he going to change anything?
No, not this year. They should have changed it in the offseason. So that's the same kind of situation. Now, they're going to get some good pitching here, and Heaney's the guy. You know, Chris, that guy has been better than I thought he could be. I knew what he did last year, and I thought, okay, that's a nice fifth guy to have, but he's performing more like a number 2 rotation guy.
Yeah, the fact that he's pitching that well is just once again something that underscores and adds to my frustration that they did so little to try to help this offense. Apparently, O'Neal Cruz just hit a ball roughly a mile in Anaheim. He might have hit it over to L.A. County. He hit it so far. That guy's the only person holding up his end of the bargain offensively for this team. The opportunity was there to add quality pieces, but they didn't want to spend the money. And so until that happens, I think it's fair to call into question the desire to win on the part of the owner and the rest of the front office, because their actions say they say one thing, but then the actions say something else, or lack thereof.
Correct, and that's what has to change. They have to show it, not just talk about it. Let's go to Frank in Claysville up next. Hey, Frank, how are you?
Hey, guys. It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've been listening to you guys every night. We never bring up Dylan Gabriel, and I know that he's somebody that we might be able to get in the 4th round, and he's a great quarterback. I could call him like a poor man's Russell Wilson. And I would love it if we could get him and maybe the cornerback from Notre Dame who tore his ACL, someone to shore up our defense. What do you guys think?
I wouldn't be totally against that. I've admired what he's done when he's on the field. Dylan Gabriel, he's a talented kid, Chris, but you really don't hear his name so much. And the Steelers have done some due diligence on a lot of people. He hasn't been one of them.
He's just too undersized. I mean, the arm is pretty good. But he's, is he 6 feet at all? I mean, he might be 5'11". I know the caller just made a comp to Russell Wilson, but I've actually heard people say Shedeur Sanders reminds them of Russell Wilson. The problem is he reminds them of the Denver version, not very mobile, not the best in terms of maybe making good decisions with the football all the time. Dylan Gabriel just seems like a guy, I guess that's actually the way to put it. He seems like a guy. They keep getting connected to Will Howard, Bob. One thing I do think, I don't think the Steelers have any interest in Will Howard in the middle rounds. I keep seeing them mocked with him at like pick 83, or even in some cases if he slides to pick 122. I hear little things that suggest to me that it would be very surprising, borderline shocking, if they use that 3rd or 4th round pick on Will Howard.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance that Kyle McCord would be that guy. They seem to have some interest in him, and despite what he did here in Pittsburgh at Acrisure Stadium against Pitt, he had a very good second half of his season last year with Syracuse. Let's go to Mike in Ross Township, joins us right now on the hotline. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Hey, I like Sanders for a pick in the 1st round. I mean, you think we've got to learn their lesson from Pickett, but I don't know. Sanders throws a nice ball. And if they're going to waste a pick, I'd rather try Sanders out and see what he can do.
The only question is arm strength. I mean, he's accurate, and I think he's capable of making smart decisions in the pocket, but sometimes, we were talking about that today, and if you watch his highlight films, I mean, he can thank Travis Hunter for a lot of the catches that might have been intercepted in other situations. So, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not totally sold on him.
I don't love the mechanics, Bob. He's got an average arm at best strength-wise. He's an accurate passer. He's a good processor. I don't love the mechanics. I don't think he gets maybe the most out of his whatever physical capacity he does have. He doesn't seem to throw with his lower body. He doesn't have an arm like Aaron Rodgers where you can flick your wrist, or Michael Vick in his prime where you just flick his wrist and the ball's going to jump 60 yards. I think you've got a recipe there where unless the player goes to a really good situation where the coach is a really offensive-minded coach and the system is well established and he can get coached up, I don't love his chances. And nothing that I just described describes the Pittsburgh Steelers as currently constructed.
And the thing about this pick, if they do go ahead and choose him if he's available, it better be the right pick, because if you keep doing this, and I realize that the chances of these guys, all of them, becoming franchise quarterbacks are not all that good. I mean, they could be serviceable, they could be good, but we've also seen how long it takes some of these guys to develop. And look at Sam Darnold, what he's had to go through to get where he is now, and others like him. Sometimes it takes some time, and I don't know. If they miss on this, then they'd have to keep chasing this over and over again, and that's a tough situation to be in, because you'd have to ignore other needs of your football team. And I don't know if they can afford to do that right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they play it.
I don't actually think they're going to pick him. Mike Tomlin spoke so much at length about him when he's so loath to do that about a specific player and talked him up. I got to believe it's a smokescreen. I think the caller said maybe they've learned their lesson from Kenny and now they'll draft Sanders, which I think is odd, because I think you can make more of a Kenny Pickett comp for this guy than you can any high-level quarterback in the NFL. I do think the Steelers are more in line with a team right now that wants a toolsy player at that position, is willing to wait, or is willing to take a mid-round flyer on one. We're talking about, and I see the poll question, he's still leading, who will the Steelers draft? He's not mobile, okay? I know he's Deion's kid, and a lot of people just make, I'll say, lazy or uninformed comparisons, and they say, well, he must be a great athlete. No, he's not. We know that Mike Tomlin likes quarterback mobility, so he's suddenly, with his next franchise quarterback, going to go completely against that and get somebody that's way more of a pocket passer than anything else. That kind of defies belief, Bob.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder if Jalen Milroe is more on the radar than anyone else, because he has everything that I think Mike Tomlin would like, but he's got to get better on some of the intermediate passes. We'll see how that goes. Let's go to Tom in the South Hills. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Yeah, hi, Bob. Thank you for taking my phone call. Mm-hmm. The magic number is 4. The Steelers need 4 starters from this draft. If they can do that, and next year, I think that they will really make a run for the Super Bowl.
That's a hard thing to do, come up with 4 starters, especially first-year players. You can get a couple here and there. 4 is a lot, Chris. If they should do that.
Bob, in my opinion, if the Steelers have the 1974 draft equivalent back-to-back, I think that they will be on a course charted for big success. If they can draft several Hall of Famers in the next 2 years, I like their chances.
Jim in Peters Township, what do you say about the Steelers in tomorrow's NFL draft day 1?
Well, I can tell you this. I'm 73. I've followed the Steelers since 1965. I remember 74. I was a junior in college. Having said this, the Steelers have no chance, and I'll tell you the reason why. They're not going to draft anyone. Rodgers is a one-year deal, and they need to draft, in my opinion, an offensive lineman and defensive lineman, so they can put more pressure on the passer and they can better protect whoever they have.
I would say defensive lineman and defensive lineman ahead of another offensive lineman. They just spent the last 2 number 1s on offensive linemen, so I don't see that happening. And they better be good this year, because no matter who's back there, they're going to need an offensive line that takes another step forward.
I'm gonna one more time stick my neck out there and say maybe now their line will improve because Fautanu will be healthy, knock on wood, and they'll finally get the chance, give themselves the chance to put Broderick Jones where he should have been from day one. But of course we had to play the Dan Moore experiment out, and I guess it'll at least get them a nice comp pick next year. But I'm going to cross my fingers and say that playing Broderick Jones at the position he was drafted to play is going to pay big dividends for them.
Well, I think better. That's going to be one of the key positions, especially if Aaron Rodgers ends up here. And that story may never end, and it may carry all the way into training camp. We'll take a break, come back with more. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani, Chris Mueller with you. We're back right after this.